Joining us now, Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota. It's really good to have you on the show. I want to talk to you about the specific case around mifepristone, but I have to ask you, due to the overturning of Roe is why we're here today. And we know that abortion health care, as I call it, is not based on religion or the history of Christianity. It's not. It's not where America is on this. And I think increasingly Americans are seeing in vivid detail why this health care is needed as women are bleeding out, becoming sterilized, becoming traumatized, having their lives threatened because they can't get the abortion health care they need. Which brings me back to the cult leader hawking his Bible, the guy who did all this, and will tell you, he himself overturned Roe by bringing Leonard Leo and others into the fray to create a Supreme Court that was able to do that. It's easy to call the Bible grifty that he's selling online and to make fun of it because he usually holds Bibles upside down and things like that. But, Senator, what can be said to the person who is all in on this and who will pick up a credit card and buy this Bible? Because I actually think the abortion argument and everything that's happening to this country, it's summed up in his presentation and his selling of the Bible. But I think it's lost on the folks who want to buy it. Are they lost? Unreachable.
So, okay, I'm going to separate the issue of where people are on abortion, their own personal views, from him hawking Bibles. I just keep going back to the Ten Commandments and, you know, those commandments about keeping the Sabbath holy as we approach the Easter weekend, the commandments about not using the Lord's name in vain. And here you have someone who is literally taking a holy book and selling it. And putting it out there in order to make money for his campaign. Can he legally do it? I assume that he can. But usually candidates are selling things like T-shirts, or in the case of my presidential campaign, we had Amy earrings. Okay, these are things to allow supporters to have some fun and show they support the candidate. He's going this way. And I think the way that he has degraded people with disabilities, I still will never forget when John McCain was on his deathbed, the fact that he went after John McCain, a hero to this country. These things are not consistent with the teachings of the Bible. So he can be out there hawking it all he wants. But to me, it's just one more moment of hypocrisy. And I hope people step back and look at some of the things he said and done in his life, many of which are wielding through these legal proceedings all over the country, including asking a Republican Secretary of State to find him more votes after an election. And look at that and look at what the teachings of the Bible are and make a decision about who they're going to support or not. As many moderate Republicans, as you just was pointed out on the show, like Lisa Murkowski and people like Mitt Romney, are coming to a different conclusion about who they're going to support for president.
Senator, good morning. It's good to have you with us. I want to bring you back to the Supreme Court oral arguments we heard yesterday about mifepristone. As Danny just laid out well for us, the justices appeared very skeptical of the plaintiff's argument standing, and then the merits of it as well. But larger point, let's just say, for argument's sake, that they don't find for the plaintiffs in this and they don't take up the case. Is this case, like the Alabama IVF ruling, the Supreme Court down at the state level, do you believe all of this is the product of what we saw almost 2 years ago in Dobbs, which is to say there were people after Dobbs who said, don't be alarmist about this, mostly conservatives saying, don't be alarmist, this is about abortion, it's not going to be about IVF, it's not going to be about mifepristone, it won't be about birth control, and yet here we are.
Exactly. And number one, legal analysis, correct. They were deeply skeptical. My guess is they're going to throw this out based on standing when you have people like Gorsuch saying things like, this is a small lawsuit with big implications. Elena Kagan said it best when she said, who's the person? Where's the harm? But let's put that aside. These are the Trump-appointed justices, a number of them, that were the ones that got us into this mess in the first place by overturning Roe v. Wade. And this is a natural outcome. They said they wanted to give it back to the states. Well, guess what? It's coming right back to this court. And now you have a situation where challenges are being made to the FDA's authority, which, if they went that way, would not only mean about mifepristone, an abortion drug used by over 60% of women seeking abortions, but would also apply to things like birth control. If you can just have a group of random doctors come in and say, hey, this is not inconsistent with our beliefs to that, or HIV drugs or other things, or IVF, if you point out, then you have chaos. You don't have expert decisions being made to protect the safety of people. You're not allowing these decisions to be made between a woman and her doctor. This is the natural outcome of these Trump-appointed justices. And clearly the public is not with these extremists. 70, 80% of them, depending on the poll. In states like Ohio, in Wisconsin, when there have been ballot measures or elections relevant to this, they have sided with a woman's right to make her own decisions about her health care, not politicians.
Senator Sam Stein here. To your point, last night there was what would have been a relatively obscure state house election in Alabama, where the candidate ran well ahead of margins in the last election, the Democratic candidate, largely on a platform of protecting IVF and abortion rights and her own personal story. I'm wondering, based on that and what is now a fairly lengthy record of special election results in which Democrats have outperformed expectations in the post-Dobbs era, one, do you feel confident that this issue still has resonance and will still have resonance up and through November? And two, are there plans in place for the party to capitalize a bit more aggressively on the issue? And by that, I mean, you mentioned ballot initiatives, but also maybe perhaps congressional votes or hearings or things that could put this issue more front and center for voters in the lead up to the vote.
I don't know that the word is capitalized, because the voters are bringing it to us. When you go way back, I was thinking of Mika's comments about the horrific nature of this, when that girl, victim of incest, young girl, age 10, ends up getting pregnant and then has to go to another state to get her health care. People are outraged by these stories. And they've been starting to go on all over the country. I know, because Minnesota's in the middle of a number of states that don't allow for access. Clinics have had to move to our state. So this is happening on its own without anyone capitalizing on it. I will say the Alabama outcome in that state legislative race give support for why the president, vice president, heading down to the South on various issues, everything from work done on the economy and the like. But a lot of this is because people value their freedoms in the South, in the Midwest, anywhere in the country. Race after race after race, from the prairies in Kansas to what we just saw in that ballot measure in Ohio with an 11-vote margin, have shown that whether people are Democrats, moderate Republicans, or independents, they are siding with the Democratic Party and Joe Biden's support for freedom. They do not want to go back to the chaos. They don't want to go back 50 years ago. They don't want to go back to the 1950s. And they don't want to go back to the 1850s, which is exactly what this Republican Party is arguing that they do with the Comstock law.
Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota, we always appreciate your time. Thanks for being here this morning.
It was fun. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Senator.
Hey, everyone. MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.